The Jordan River, a biblical waterway that has been long steeped in history and mystique, is facing a crisis like never before. Recently, the river has been drying up alarmingly, threatening the delicate ecosystem and leaving questions about the happening. But amidst this crisis, some fascinating discoveries have been made about the river and its history that are shedding new light on its significance. The first discovery is Petra. The ancient Jordanian city of Petra was lost to the rest of the world for hundreds of years. It was carved into bright red, white, pink, and sandstone cliff faces. Between 400 BC and 106 AD, Petra was the center of trade and the capital of the Nabatean Empire. It is now in the southwestern corner of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan in a place called Wadi Musa. For hundreds of years, the city was empty and almost in ruins. Only in the 1800s did a European traveler dress up as a Bedouin and enter the mysterious area. The Petra Archaeological Park was named a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1985, and in 2007, it was even named one of the new 7 Wonders of the World. Petra was where several scenes from the big-budget movie Indiana Jones were shot. The fictional Canyon of the Crescent Moon in the film was based on the eastern entrance to Petra, a 250-foot-high sandstone slot canyon called the Seek. The Seek leads directly to Al-Khazne, the treasury, one of Petra's most beautiful sights. Simply put, the treasury is just a facade that hides a small room that was once a royal tomb. Hundreds of bullet holes can also be seen on a huge urn carved above the treasury door. Bedouin tribesmen who live in and around the ancient ruins say that the damage was done when local men shot at the urn, which was made of solid stone but was thought to hold treasure. In addition to the treasury, Petra is also home to many other impressive structures, including the monastery, Ad Dir, the Roman theater, the colonnaded street, and the Temple of the Winged Lions. The city is also surrounded by beautiful natural scenery, including canyons, mountains, and desert landscapes. Petra was rediscovered by a Swiss explorer named Johann Ludwig Burckhardt in 1812 and has since become a popular destination for tourists. There's more. If you thought an ancient structure sounds cool, there are even ancient writings. The exact name of these writings is the Dead Sea Scrolls. Carbon-14 dating and historical, paleographic, and linguistic evidence show that the Dead Sea Scrolls were written between 300 BCE and 68 CE. They were found between 1947 and 1956 in 11 caves near Khirbet Qumran, which is on the northwestern shore of the Dead Sea. Because they're from the late Second Temple period, when Jesus of Nazareth lived, the Dead Sea Scrolls are almost 1,000 years older than any other Hebrew Bible manuscript that survived, except for the Nash Papyrus. The Shrine of the Book, a part of the Israel Museum in Jerusalem, keeps them safe. Most of these scrolls were written in Hebrew, but some were also written in Aramaic or Greek. Only a few were written on papyrus. Most of them were written on parchment. Most of the scrolls were only found in pieces. Only a few were found whole. Still, scholars have been able to put together about 850 different manuscripts of different lengths from these pieces. In September 2011, the Israel Museum in Jerusalem and Google's Digital Dead Sea Scrolls website made 5 of the scrolls searchable online. This was part of a project to make facsimiles of all the scrolls searchable online. In December 2012, the Israel Antiquities Authority and Google Israel launched the Leon Levy Dead Sea Scrolls Digital Library offsite link. This made high-resolution images of the scrolls free to use. The site went live 11 years after the IAA finished publishing the Dead Sea Scrolls and 65 years after the first scrolls were found in the caves of Qumran. Since then, no more scrolls have been found, but there have been occasional excavations at the site and nearby. But the fact that there were no more scrolls doesn't mean there haven't been other discoveries. It's quite the opposite. Archaeologists may have found the first evidence of the story of Exodus in the Bible. The Bible books Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy tell the story of the Exodus. It starts with the Israelites being slaves in Egypt. If you're unfamiliar with the story, here's how it goes. After 10 terrible plagues, the Pharaoh agrees to let the Israelites go, and Moses leads them across the Red Sea. Once they got to the Sinai Peninsula, the Bible says they went to Mount Sinai, where Moses got the 10 Commandments. After that, the Bible says they went to the southern border of Canaan, but because they were too scared to go in, God made them spend 38 years in the desert. After spending years at the oasis of Kadesh Barnea, the Israelites moved to the eastern border of Canaan, where the story goes that Moses died and was buried on Mount Nebo. The book of Joshua tells the story of Joshua, who takes over as leader of the Israelites, leads them across the Jordan River into the Promised Land, and defeats Jericho. There's no exact historical evidence to back up this story, but experts are looking at ancient ruins near the Jordan River that could prove that nomadic Israelites crossed into the ancient land from Kerbit. El Mastara is only 5 miles north of Jericho, and it dates back to the early Iron Age, which is when the Bible says the Israelites arrived, so at least in terms of timing, this one checks out. Archaeologists have been looking at the ruins to see if they fit with a group of nomads who just moved there. Pieces of pottery found on the site date to the early Iron Age, and the ruins, which have a few low walls, are thought to be very simple. Nomadic people are known to have used stone to fence their animals. Archaeologist Dr. David Ben of Ariel University and his American colleague Ralph Hawkins of Averett University have a theory. According to them, this could explain why pottery pieces were found outside the stone walls and not inside. They said that the floors of the buildings were almost entirely free of artifacts, so we couldn't use traditional archaeological methods to date them. This means that the buildings might have been for animals instead of people who lived in tents around them. Just this one theory changes everything we thought we knew about this area. When we look at old buildings and structures, we usually think of them as homes for people. However, if they built elaborate housing for animals, things could have been much bigger than we thought. It's not just that the site's location and the harsh climate of the region make it more likely that it was a nomadic settlement than a permanent one. The landscape is primarily arid. Even today, most people don't live there permanently. Also, temperatures in the area can easily hit 45 degrees Celsius, which may have made living there hard and uncomfortable for people who aren't used to such high temperatures. The average yearly rainfall is only 1 centimeter, so the area is probably arid, with little water for drinking or farming. Again, this would have made life hard for people not accustomed to living in such conditions. The site is also hidden from view by the surrounding hills, which again could mean that a new population was moving in and was afraid of being found or attacked by other groups. It could also mean that nomads were looking for a new place to live away from other settled communities. The fact that the site is hidden from view by the surrounding hills could have made it an attractive place to live. The region surrounding the River Jordan and the Dead Sea has been home to some of the most fascinating and historically significant settlements in human history. These discoveries of the Dead Sea Scrolls and the impressive rock-cut architecture of Petra are notable examples. Despite the conflicts in the region, its rich cultural and historical heritage continues to attract visitors and scholars, serving as a reminder of the enduring importance of this region to the world's cultural and religious traditions.